And I could see the writing on the wall with that, and I'm just like, I gotta leave. So that's what I did. I was saying I want to go back to Virginia. I don't want to stay in North Carolina. This is not where I want to be. My dad basically just dropped me off at the border of between Virginia and North Carolina. I had all my stuff dropped off outside of a Dollar General, and the next thing you know, I'm homeless. So that's a fun deal. And so I'm stuck outside of a Dollar General, and at this point, I am officially homeless. I did never think anything like that would ever happen in my life, but it did. And there's a few revelations I got from that. One of the interesting things that my high school teacher said, and perhaps the best teacher I ever had, she mentioned something along the lines like a long time ago, that there was a guy that she knew that was willfully actually being homeless. Like, it was a choice. And I couldn't really ever understand why that person would want to be in that position. And she said something along the lines of just there's less things to worry about, there's less things to stress about. And I actually have her number still, and so I decided to text her with that kind of thing. And I think she kind of understood, at least, somewhat, that yeah, I'm kind of in that same position too. And I said something along the lines of, I think I might actually try to understand that now, or at least I think I might be able to. The situations were very different, obviously, but it was very eye-opening in a lot of ways, just being in that position of now I'm homeless. And so, in some sense, when you don't have to worry about that thing, you don't have to necessarily make a whole lot of money. And I don't necessarily want to be in a homeless position, nor could I really be to do any things I'm currently doing right now, such as drawing or even making this video. It'd be kind of really hard to do those things outside. But it is certainly interesting. From the less stuff you have, the less you have to manage. And I guess from that standpoint, I can understand that. But the thing is that she told me that he's actually in a place now, but he's very frugal with everything and all that kind of stuff. One of the other things that also came to my mind with this is that, it's funny because, like, a lot of times you'll see somebody outside on the road and they're basically, having those signs out where it's like, need food and homeless and all that kind of stuff. I didn't have any of that stuff. I didn't really want to do anything like that because while I was in that position, it felt kind of terrible having in that kind of thing. And I guess it's a sort of pride thing, but I don't know if that's the right word. It just kind of felt like I was really unworthy of having anything of that sort. And the thing is, though, is that God always has kind of a funny way of helping you out regardless, and it seems like, sort of in a little bit of a ways, I don't really completely understand it either right now, but at least from an observation, it seems like kind of the less able you are to take care of yourself, the more, and especially if you're in a state of complete unknown ignorance. Like, there's many different laws and many different things that we unknowingly do wrong, and sometimes it's unknowingly doing wrong and we don't even know it's wrong, and maybe other people don't either, which is kind of funny thinking about it, if you think about it from like a moral standpoint. And in that respect, kind of grace extends itself to kind of cover you in that particular way. And I think that's what happened to me within that respect, because all of a sudden, I think, like, me being right outside the establishment of a Dollar General, people coming out, people coming in, seeing it, and they saw it, and there was a couple people that handed me some money, and I was very grateful for it. And it was one of those things, I didn't ask for anything. Like, people came up to me, I told them the truth, and then they handed me things. And that happened a couple times. I think it happened about 3 or 4 different times, and by the end of it, I had probably about 40 to 60 or something dollars. I don't remember exact amount, but it was enough for at least a couple of days until I could get to a better place, which I'll talk about how that happened in a moment. But Basically, it started getting late. It was getting to the point where it was about 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. And the interesting thing to me is that, like, I I had this idea in my head where I would call the cops, right? And they would be able to help me out and or at least have somebody come in. But it seemed like that wasn't the case. So what ended up happening with them instead is that they called my brother, and my brother came and picked me up. Now, I wasn't necessarily the most happy about that because I didn't think he really wanted anything to do with me, and I didn't want anything to do with him in terms of drama. But he came and picked me up. He went to a gas station to get some gas, and then he dropped me off at a homeless shelter. You know, I packed up all my things, put it in the car. He did all that, and there you go. And it's now like 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm right in front of a homeless shelter, and the thing is that, like, I'm thinking, okay, well, let me just get this signed up and I'll do it and stuff like that. But it turns out they were closed anyway because it was 3 a.m. in the morning and they don't start doing intakes until 9 a.m. That was fun. But fortunately, there was one person there, and that's how I got that information. When I was told this, I was immediately gone into sort of like a crazed, like ultra depressed, crazy mode where I'm saying things that if any kind of sanity was in me at that moment, I never would have even said it. It's not like I flat out try to do things that were cursing or whatever, or anything of that sort, but it was along the lines of, I don't care, I'd rather be somewhere, and if I'm gonna be in jail, and that's a thing, like, you can get me for trespassing, at least I'll be in jail somewhere, I won't have to worry about that. And the interesting thing is that, like, this particular place was a Christian homeless shelter, and so the gentleman that was there, he was a Christian, and he kind of was able to talk me through it and kind of calm me down and really help me think about it a bit more rationally. And he ended up praying with me. And so next thing you know, after that, I asked him where would I have to go so that I wouldn't be trespassing. And he told me basically right outside a tree by the bus stop, and that's where I had to take all my stuff. I took like 3 things of my stuff, like 3 a.m. or whatever in the morning, and I fortunately had some blankets. I had all my stuff with me. I tried to cover up everything so that, you know, any obvious things that I thought that people want to take and steal, they wouldn't. Although, of course, being homeless outside with all my stuff could happen anyway, so whatever. But I did all that. I basically tried to cover myself up, and I quote unquote slept. Now obviously the thing is also what for me is that one of the things I had with me is I actually had a chair and a little bit of a desk. Like, I had this little metal chair, I had some pillows, I had some blankets, and I had this plastic, you know, kind of desk stand. You know, just imagine a white desk with some metal gray bars that help stand it up. But that was essentially kind of my quote unquote bed. Just blankets around me, trying to keep myself warm from the cold, and just sleeping on top of that with a chair as the thing to sleep on. And yeah, I quote unquote slept. I didn't really sleep, but it was enough rest so that I could at the very least have my brain thinking at least in a sane kind of way. But this is also one of the things that happened to me too. There was a very good moment in there. In fact, throughout that entire time where I was just thinking to myself, man, this happened to me, and the family, quote unquote, that's supposed to help you out when you're in this sort of situation, they're not here. My brother just dropped me off at a homeless shelter. He didn't take me back to where everyone else was. He didn't try to do this. And it was just like, I'm now officially homeless, and I couldn't work it out with my dad like you guys are saying, like I already knew wasn't going to happen. Still, I just felt like, man, I get all this because I'm feeling so anxious, so in trouble, and just feeling like things are going to go badly anyway, and I decided to quit a job because of how bad it was going for me and my mental health there. And this is what I end up getting. This is fun. So I decided I'm going to do the following. I'm going to figure out where I am. So I check my phone, and ironically enough, I'm actually very close to the same place where I was first at the mental hospital. That is where I was actually dropped off at. I was just a bus ride away. After that, I felt like I need to get something to eat because I'm very freaking hungry. And I decided that, oh, I have some money from people giving it to me, so you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a bus ride there, and then I basically realized that, oh, I still got a little whiles away, but that's okay because I can now grab some McDonald's. So I grabbed some McDonald's, and from basically just waiting and eating, I find the bus to get to the hospital. And actually around this time, I had posted on Instagram this particular video, and it was very fitting for me because like this particular song, it's called Float by the band Red. I had actually heard this song back around early July or so. It was around July 4th, I think, when I started listening to it. Oh yeah, 4th of July. And this song, I really didn't get it at all. In fact, at first it was not only confusing, but it felt really scary. Kind of like it was completely different in terms of stuff I had heard from them before, because I had been listening to Red for a good little while.
Oh, this is what the easiest boss.
Okay. All right.
When I heard that song, it was actually totally different and a lot more scary than what I ever heard at first. But then I really got into it, and it really just was like, this is pretty good. And also remembering that Red does a little bit more poetic kind of lyrics and things like that, I was interested in trying to figure out what in the world does the song mean. And the thing is, I couldn't find any material to explain from their perspective about what the song meant. Like, there were some songs, like, for example, I believe The War We Made actually explains, they actually go into depth about what that song means. They also do a similar thing for The Evening Hate and other kinds of tracks that they made before, but this song they didn't do that. And so I was very stuck in trying to figure out what in the world does the song mean. And the interesting thing is I would find out throughout this entire whole event, because being depressed from that job, having the experience of quitting, trying to figure out a way to make life work, and doing it on my own accord voluntarily, and then having that all crumble because I ran out of money, and then falling into the hands of a family situation that makes me even feel even worse, and then being forced into something that I knew forthright wouldn't work, and just couldn't explain it well enough, but not mattering because I don't have any ability to take care of myself. So having myself forced to be in that situation regardless, then what do you know, it doesn't work. And then now being homeless, I had completely started to understand what that track was actually talking about. The interesting thing about the lyrics with this song, I'm going to read a little bit of it here, is I don't remember falling, but I still hit the ground. That was before I woke up, but let's live in the now. For me, I don't even remember how I felt this way, how I felt depressed, how all this kind of stuff happened. I just know the events that led up to it, but it just still was there. And I still hit that ground of depression. And this all happened before I even realized what was even happening. Like, I didn't really start coming into a world of self-awareness till at the very least 2014 or 15, but really into more of an acute awareness of myself in 2017. And certainly 18 and 19, that was when it was really into a head. And 2020 was just the cumulative results of that taking into its full effect. And I hit the ground before I even knew that. But at this point now, I'm living into this thing where I'm just feeling like I'm floating. And the thing is that, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how in the world to change any of this stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to explain when I get the opportunity and I'm actually in this situation. Like, there's been several times where I've tried to explain to my mom and to the people what I'm feeling, It's like, can you see inside of me? This is going from the lyrics again. Can you see inside of me? I swear to God, it's like I'm fading away. If it disappears right in front of me and it wasn't real, it isn't real, and I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening. What is going on? Like, nobody can see this. Can you understand what's going on? And it doesn't feel like most people can. And the very few that do, or at the very least those that aren't willing to listen, those are the only people. And it felt like at that time it was only 3. You know, as you just listen to the song even more, another example is I slip away to nothing, empire crumbling, I made the heart's desire, I make the suffering. And that, it felt like that was basically like, my world is coming to an end. Everything I know is being destroyed and ripped apart. And I made this choice and I made this problem. That's what it feels like. Because I made all these conscious decisions that even though I knew there was this possibility, I'm now experiencing the possibility, and it's pretty terrible. But the interesting thing is that, like, I guess in retrospect, I didn't know what else to do. Like I said before, I don't really know I could have really done anything different. This is the weird thing about this whole situation, is that I'm not exactly sure if there's anything I could have done differently, especially given my mental state. I just wasn't really sure.
It took up almost all my armor.
Oh wow.
Who wants to get rich today?
What?
Oh, rats.
Bro, that's so retarded! I was behind something!
It didn't look like you were behind something on my screen.
Oh, you serious?
Yeah.
Bro, that's retarded. Holy crap, I thought I had blocked all the damage from that thing. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's... Oh, there you go. Almost there.